Hello and welcome to the video game developer hit list. We're here to talk about bad video game developers. Our good friends Peter, David Cage, Cliff Blazinski, all those good people. And also we're here to talk about video games in between, and we're not putting Peter Molyneux clickbait in between. And I'm joined here by our usual co-host Tony.
Hey, that's me.
And Daniel's here as well.
Oh, hello!
And this is the second time we've recorded this podcast because it crashed. Literally, as I was saving it, we recorded an entire hour and a half.
We only lost half of it, Joe. I got my part.
I can stop Bane now. Bane's not sitting right with me.
Right. Yeah, so we have audio of Tony speaking to himself.
Yeah,
I think you should upload that as an unlisted video and just put a link somewhere. So you just have Tony talking to himself.
I dropped so many secrets.
You did, and now we're never going to remember what they were.
No one else can see them now because I told so many things I wasn't supposed to say, but now I cannot say them.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I know, and that's the important thing.
Well,
hello, I'm here, I'm Dan.
I think I was speaking about the Peter Molyneux last week. The fake Peter Molyneux account.
Yeah, that's your first topic.
I actually think that was the first thing I talked about. Because hopefully with us saying this again, it will be less rambly and more concise. That's the hope.
Oh, probably not.
No. But
likelihood.
Peter Molyneux is the parody account of
Do you know what the best part about this is? The fact that because we've already done this once, you're not calling it Peter Molyneux because we embarrassed you about that last time, but now you can get away with it and no one will ever know.
No, never said that. You're making it up.
But he's a very funny parody account and posts tweets as if he was Peter Molyneux by talking about random shit like, imagine a game if you went to a grocery store and all the fruit was your memories of times of different shit in your life.
There's some really good cracking ideas there.
But someone actually made one of the games he was talking about. He had one of his tweets. He said, "Have you ever played a racing game and wanted to play as the road rather than the cars?" And someone actually made that game. They responded with this game, which is loading.
Sent a tweet
Can't
to Peter.
drive this. But he hasn't actually. The official Peter Molyneux hasn't actually put a tweet down since January this year,
saying he's been hacked.
Saying he's been hacked. So.
Thanks, Peter.
I'm assuming he unofficially moved on to the Peter Molyneux account, and that's just him now.
It's better to believe
post all that stuff.
Yeah, I think this is the point where I said, it's good if you just follow both of them, and then you don't know who's saying which, other than the fact that he has. Peter
Molyneux actually posted an unofficial. Well, he posted a parody press release for his game. That was quite funny. Where he's like, "Yes, we're only going to release it in Taiwan," and that was a business decision that
it really pays off.
Yeah, what did he say? Oh, it's the Philippines. An exciting new game that can only be played in the Philippines. That's the kind of crazy shit Peter would do.
You can only play it between the hours of 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the morning.
But I was reading
for 6 minutes.
I was reading the Rock Paper Shotgun article, the very famous one where
your favourite one.
My favourite one where John Walker just starts off with, Peter Molyneux, why are you a pathological liar? And it reminded me of the Alexander the Great quote where it's like, hearing that there were other worlds. Alexander wept that he had not conquered them yet, and I wept as I know that Peter Molyneux will never do an interview again. He's publicly stated that he will never do it again.
He keeps publicly stating that he'll never do them again, but keeps doing them anyway.
I wish he'd publicly state he's never going to do a video game again.
Yeah, he's never doing a video game again.
22 cans is his comeback. This is his Robbie Downey Jr. moment where he's going to come back.
Robbie Downey Jr.
Robbie Williams Downey Jr. Robbie Danny Dyer Williams Jones McGuire.
What's wrong? I want a bit of a Downey Jr. today.
There's going to be a lot of fucking up in this because we've already fucked it up now, so it's too late.
Let's repeat the fuck up.
It's too late to fuck up again.
Rest in peace, Dolby. Dolby's dead. Maybe I should not skip what we've been playing.
Oh, but how did we do that? It's the past, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah, so we're in the future right now because this was officially meant to be recorded a week ago, but it crashed. And
we got through Peter a lot quicker than we did last time. We were at a mid-Toby toilet break at this point. Last week in the podcast.
Do you want to talk more about Peter Molyneux? Because I might just call him Peter Molyneux from now on instead of his real name, just because the unofficial Twitter account is a lot
I'm now more
funnier.
confused because I have such a short-term memory as to how the hell we managed to drag that out for so long last time.
I can't remember what we talked about. Actually,
The
game itself on Steam is like really good. Before we
we were talking about Can't Drive.
It's early access really cool. And it's like it's got multiplayer.
This is what we did last
time. And online.
Wait for the reviews.
Well, it's early access, so I mean.
You said that last time as well. I mean, this is the first time.
Toby wants this game after I told him to put it on his wish list, so it must be good.
It is so good.
It does actually look really good. I do want to play it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we should probably.
Dolby's dead.
Dolby Axon is shutting down. It used to be a really good voice-over IP service that I actually personally use myself. But it's just reported that no one's really using it that much, you know, and they just said basically use Curse or Discord. So it's kind of sad to see. I think we also talked about how
how is it different? No. How is Axon different to other voice clients, Joe?
Well, it didn't.
Thanks for asking that question that I asked last time.
It didn't have any, like, you didn't have to pay for a server. You could just get one, and it had kind of directional sound sort of thing.
Like Mumble.
You had that anecdote about games.
I did. So we set it up for Mumble once where we had position audio, but only ever seemed to work with source games. And when I say worked, I mean didn't work because everything was backwards, which meant that if I was in a Mumble server in a game like TF2 and I was talking to Bradley, we both turned it on once and I would just be like, Bradley, where are you? And then suddenly, although I could see him in front of me to my right, I would hear his voice suddenly come at me from behind me to the left. So I could figure out roughly where he was in the map, as long as I remembered it was like 180 degrees in the opposite direction every time.
Well, I think
that didn't end
last time we were talking about this, I got confused and I said Razer bought Dolby, but they actually bought THX.
They did, yeah.
Which is kind of... Because that's quite interesting, actually, because that's a really big like sound company and Razer makes like, you know, headsets. They even have a fucking VR thing, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But that's really interesting news. This is going to be very concise. I can feel it coming. Right, Daniel, have you been playing Overwatch Halloween?
No. Yeah, I mean, yes. I've been playing. Okay, what happened last week was we went into quite a lot of detail about all the new bits and pieces of Halloween.
The Tavern Brawl.
First piece of information, shit tons of new skins, and they're cool. And the best one on there is probably the Mercy one.
Only Mercy one that she's not wearing her leggings.
Oh.
Whoa.
What? We went in different areas there.
Whoa.
We learned something more about both of us today, and now we're both disappointed.
Yeah, well, she's not wearing leggings in that skin.
Oh, well, she's also the only one where you can actually see exposed flesh of her
that's what I meant.
upper torso. That's not leggings.
No, I mean her lower torso as well.
Yeah, her lower torso. You mean her legs?
Yes.
My lower torso really hurts today.
Her lower torso.
Oh, my legs, you know. So, yeah. So, that's obviously gotten a lot of gold out of people.
It's a very good skin because she has a lot of exposed skin.
Yeah, it's a great skin for people that like exposed flesh.
Yeah. There's no Winston skin. It's fucking racist.
Yeah, Harambe still doesn't get a timed exclusive skin. They have changed the rules about how you get these, however. From the old Olympics or Summer Games styled ones, you couldn't buy those at all with gold that you could earn in-game. They had to be done through loot boxes. This time is slightly different. I obviously went nuts and immediately spent £100 on like buying all of the things, so I could just not have to worry about it.
You said you stated was a small portion of what you spent in total.
Yeah, probably it's only like 20% of what I spent.
Very
overall.
Disappointed.
So, but this time they've changed it so that you can use the in-game gold which you earn in order to unlock
but
them.
It's
triple the
times
cost.
expensive.
Yeah. So whereas a normal skin that's legendary in the game costs you 1,000 gold, if you want one of the Halloween ones to buy outright, that'll cost you 3,000 gold. But when Blizz first said they were going to do this, Jeff Kaplan came out and said, we really want these to feel special so that you won't down the line just see everybody with these skins, though, because it's so popular, most people do have them. You'll just think, wow, yeah, I've got this one and it's cool and it's unique to me. So in a way, they still managed to do this because although lots of people will have those skins, there might be a few that don't. And you may have said, well, I really want that one, so I'm going to use my gold to unlock that one. Yeah, it runs from the... It ends November the 1st. I can't remember when it started because, again, this is the past.
October 10th.
Let's go with that. That's when
a date.
was.
But I was really excited to open my spooky Halloween loot boxes,
scary
and
Halloween.
I'm very excited by all the white and blues I've got from all of those boxes. So
yeah, but so that's one thing they did. They made a few like balance tweaks, but nothing particularly serious. But the biggest thing that they have added is the new Brawl, which is a horde mode where waves of
machine.
waves of machines
TF2
come at you.
update.
Pretty much, and you have to destroy them before they get into a castle gate. There are a few mini bosses, much like the ones you get in MVM in TF2, but overall it's really good. It's got a fair bit of lore behind it. There's brand new character models for the actual enemies which you're fighting, and more than anything, the community has basically said to Blizzard, a lot of the posters I've been seeing recently say, Blizzard, please keep the horde mode. It's really improved my aim.
Yeah,
Because
it's good aim
people can just
training.
they can just basically like sit there. People have come up with tactics. The way it works is it's locked down with 4 characters. So you have Anna, you have McCree, you have Soldier 76, and you have Hanzo. And they basically have to work together to defeat Reaper, Junkrat, Roadhog, and Mercy.
Is the final boss.
Yep, and it's basically last as long as you can, or the object is to kill all of the enemies before they destroy this gate. There are unlocks for doing that on various difficulties and for perfect stuff. So, for example, the sprays and these different player icons you can unlock by getting achievements. Say you didn't take any damage from the gate, or you did it on hard rather than medium. So there's quite a little bit of neat stuff there, and it's actually pretty neat because it's all voiced over by the guy Reinhardt's voice actor. So when he starts, when you first join in, it's like our tale begins in Bradensburg. And it goes through, and then as you pick a character, it's like the alchemist had come from far and was friends with the soldier, and talks about that kind of stuff. And it's pretty neat. So,
well, it's not the whole because the bosses are like super
yeah,
amped up versions of their regular selves.
yeah. So they're instead of having like their regular health, they have a lot more because obviously you've just like 2 hit a Reaper normally, or 1 headshot as a Hanzo or McCree. But they have crap tons more health. They still have all of their normal abilities, right? None of that is particularly souped up. They don't do any more damage, but they last a lot longer. I think maybe they probably had their cooldowns tweaked. So Hanzo's pretty good for like doing zoning stuff, and McCree's good for taking out large waves at once. But you've got to be careful about the bosses because they've got their ults. Like Reaper, if he ults in like an area where everyone's clumped up, that everyone dies pretty much. And if there's 2 fail states as well and only 1 win state. Win state is you survive and you keep the gate like put in place, and the 2 fail states are you either all die at once, or alternatively, because if 3 of you die and the last person stays alive, then it allows you to respawn in a certain amount of time. Or alternatively, they can destroy the gate.
I thought you said that if you managed to have no damage to the gate, you got another.
You do
a win.
So yeah, if you manage to defend the gate completely from harm, and it never takes any damage, then you get an extra spray. But there's 2 fail states. Either the gate is completely destroyed, or alternatively you all die at the same time, and then that's it.
You said you were really close to doing it without taking any damage on the gate.
Yeah, so when I first did it, I did it on medium, and I cleared that the first time. I then second time through went on hard, and it was way harder. It's actually pretty challenging to do it on hard. Eventually, I grouped with a bunch of people who actually basically knew what they were doing. We managed to get through it, and we only took 1 point of damage to the gate, which was really annoying.
1 damage off lethal.
Yeah, but it was so close to being like a perfect round, but it was still pretty good. I'd thoroughly recommend it. You've got approximately 4 days left to play. So, yeah, give it a go.
Well, by the time we come back on here, it'll be near BlizzCon, but we won't actually be on at BlizzCon.
Sombra.
So it'll be like we'll be able to talk about the hype for BlizzCon. Maybe.
We'll have the Overwatch only podcast when Sombra is inevitably released. Because there's all this stuff.
I don't feel like you can fill an entire podcast with
Watch me.
just Sombra news.
Watch me.
You can. You make your own podcast just with Overwatch.
I made the joke last week when Daniel wasn't on that it was the Overwatch podcast, and then we didn't talk about Overwatch. I don't think.
No.
So, but yeah, the one thing I was going to say is quite a few strategies like using different ults with each other, like nano boosting McCree. Like you can one shot like Reaper and I think you can one-shot Junkrat, I'm not
Yeah,
sure
you
on Mercy,
can-
but you can't one-shot Roadhog because he has too much health.
And then you have to start combining with Anna, who has her grenades, which obviously stop healing, so he can't heal himself.
Oh,
back
Anna's
up
the
and put
only...
them to
There's no
sleep.
health kits in this
No,
game,
yeah,
mate,
no
so
health
Anna
kits at all.
healing is
You are-
really important.
Yeah, you're relying completely on Anna or Soldier 76's biotic field. But
Yes,
most
it
people don't use
is
that.
really fun and really interesting. I only played it a couple of times. I don't think
It's
there
not
was
got
that much
replayability. a
that
lot.
much depth to it, to be honest, as a lot of people were.
As something completely
saying it
new,
was.
like a brand new concept, it was pretty cool. And it had a whole new part to a map that was obviously made up of some bits and pieces of the old one, right? So it's basically a slightly modded version of Eichenwald, which has got...
Which is what?
It's the new one in Overwatch,
I
which is the
don't think
Bastion
I've
and
played
German
that
one,
map
right?
like twice.
So normally there's a big bridge, you've got to push the payload over, and on either side there's
yeah.
a massive drop. But that bit instead just has little latrines. Where
First
things
time
come
I
out,
played
right?
that map, someone jumped down there. I was like, "Oh, there's another area down there." So I
Just
followed them,
and
and I
immediately
died
died.
instantly because I had no
There was
idea.
bugs there to start with as well, where if you were in range, Mercy could res you down there, and you would be
Oh.
fine, but you wouldn't be able to kill yourself to actually.
I know
come back.
on I think it's Nepal. The actual 3 layers of the map are next to each
They
other.
are all of the
and-
the King of the Hill Mill ones are.
Yeah, but you can like double res with Mercy, and you can actually travel between them.
Yeah. There's one point where during a competitive match, I watched a Tracer recall, and she recalled so much, she recalled back to the previous map, but she like got instantly teleported back. It was weird. I think it was just mostly a graphical glitch, but it looked cool.
Overwatch, Halloween, I think that's it then.
Yeah,
Hands Ult's pretty good for clearing waves, or most people were just using it to force
they force
Reaper
Reaper
to
to teleport
shadow.
and Shadow Step. Yeah. Then you've got Soldier 76 is just good at picking off like a few of the clumps of waves and getting.
It's good to get hands
shock
up on like
tires as
the
well.
platform.
Yeah, there's not much verticality for any of the other characters apart from Hanzo. He's the only one that can stand on this platform and be relatively out of harm's way.
You can rocket jump with Soldier 76. don't you?
Not really. He's not going particularly.
I saw a
I
really
love
cool.
rocket
I saw
Is
a
it
really
the Zaya one?
no. There's like an actual soldier rocket boost jump on.
Oh, yeah.
What's the
Hanamura?
Mexican map?
Oh, Dorado.
Doritos, yeah.
Yeah, Doritos.
I call it Doritos. You can actually get up. You know, there's the big wall near the church.
Yep. I know what you mean.
Yeah, you can actually boost up onto that.
There's quite a few. There's a guy, I can't remember what his name is.
But it's
really
so
bad, but-
useless because it takes so long for his.
I've seen the guy that does it. And
rocket
he
jump.
needed like as many rockets to do it, and he needed to reset his cooldowns and have
and then
extra
heal
health.
himself.
Yeah, the better ones are the ones that are just like really simple Zarya ones. There's one where on Hanamura, you know the bit where flankers can go from second point to last point really quickly over
Yeah.
that like long bit. Zarya can make that jump.
Yeah, just you fire it up.
Yeah,
And then as soon as it hits, you fire another one at the same time to boost yourself over.
So there's a bunch of people that make these really interesting jump kind of mechanics. I can't do any of them, but like I'm slowly starting to learn, like I did in TF2 with Soldier, like how all of the movement works. It's going to be interesting because in TF2, for example, you're based pretty much in the source engine, where for TF2 for CS:GO, a lot of the stuff is transferable, right? Whereas you can't
bunny hop
do that as much in Overwatch because it's a new engine and you're just starting to learn these kind of stuff, like Genji ledge boosting, for example. You must have seen that where like you boost yourself over a ledge whilst dashing. You go like fucking miles
I don't
high.
know if that's Blizzard haven't really said if that's bannable because it seems a little bit exploitative.
So yeah, there's two sides to it. Everyone that makes this
Because
argument. I can't do it.
I've
I'm mad.
I've done it in custom games. It's quite hard to get, but you actually can get it. You have to be quite quick with the keys.
Yeah.
But it seems like you can literally fly across the map. It seems like a exploit that I don't think should be kind of allowed.
It probably needs to be.
They basically said like a lot of like in League of Legends, there's things called animation cancelling.
Yeah, they've
And
got
then-
that. They
and-
had a
and
lot of that. In,
Riot says that like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that's part of the character's kit. Like being able to kind of use these bugs and exploit is kind of
It's just part of the
a
way that
skill
they've made.
ceiling.
And yeah, if you find it and you can use it, then that's just the way
But
it is.
I think Jeff Kaplan actually went on the he went on the forums. It was to do with Widowmaker because there was a quick scope thing
Yeah,
with Widowmaker that was like a kind of glitch kind of thing. He said, I don't want a skill cap of a character to be determined by like these really weird macro-y bug
I think
things.
that Blizz have said vaguely before that they're much more about people
They don't
playing
have
to their limits.
They don't have the
character
Riot
weird
Games
things.
stance
No.
of things where it's like,
Fuck it.
it's not a bug,
feature.
it's
Yeah.
a feature.
So for Overwatch, I think Genji's ledge boosting basically it's difficult to fix. I think honestly they probably just can't really nail down how to fix the bug, so that's still in there at the moment. But Genji basically used to be able to triple jump, right? Because you could jump, you could then go onto a wall jump, and then you can jump again. But now you can't get your second jump if you've touched a wall.
Because they took away the ledge grab, refreshing the jumps. Can you actually still do the bug thing with the ledge exploit?
Yeah, you can still use the ledge to go fucking flying miles.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm fairly sure you can. That's the past.
Yeah, but are you sure in the past? I'm fairly because Genji was nerfed when
Genji was nerfed for his triple jump, but I'm pretty sure he can still ledge boost. We
We'll
could
have to
Google
see.
it, but I'd rather just
because I stopped ledge boosting when there was reports that there was an exploit that basically like crashed the game if you could do it right with Genji.
That wasn't quite right. I think it was basically that if there was two opposing parallel walls near Genji, he could jump off of the wall and basically reset jump. And if he did it enough, the whole game would start to slowly crash. That was what I think was really fixed. So yeah, there you go. Overwatch, Halloween.
See,
Overwatch, spooky.
I thought I was going to be a really quick topic, but I got you distracted.
You did, because I
more
love
Overwatch
so
stuff.
much.
That's Overwatch only podcast coming soon to a cinema near you. So we'll talk about board games. It's a really shit one. It's called Concept.
So
I actually coined the phrase last time we recorded this. I'll say.
Yeah.
Before it crashed, as I was saving it.
GG.
So I coined the phrase for this concept game, shit charades. So do you want to explain what's going on with this board game?
Shit charades, and again, I'm going to say what I said last time because it makes it slightly harder for Tony. Tony
Yeah,
will
what
put
are you
an
talking
image
about? What
up.
is this game?
Tony will put up an image of the board now from from Concept.
You realise it's probably already up. There's no point in saying
probably.
He already has the images.
that. Yeah.
So, and you basically have a massive deck of cards, and the cards have something like, I think it's 9 options of concepts or objects or people for you to act out. You pick one based on your choice of difficulty, basically, because the ones at the top are easier and they get harder as you go down.
Yeah.
And then in front of you, you have a whole bunch of pictures or pictograms and tons of tiny cubes. And you pick a marker to say that this is the main concept.
Okay.
Then you use those cubes of those colours because you get a few different markers to mark out, like, if you're choosing a different concept about this thing you're explaining.
Okay.
And you say, so it's a person, and then you maybe say a sub-concept is red, white, and blue.
Okay.
And then maybe you'll put a concept of wealth, and slowly you start to get the idea, or maybe he's talking about the queen, or maybe he's talking about a banker, or something like that. And the person who is guessing, or rather the people, because you play against a team, not against each team, get against like 3 other people or whatever, guess, they get points for guessing it correctly, but you also get points for correctly describing it. You're supposed to do it in a limited amount of time,
Right.
but it's so hard.
No one
Joe
does
hates it.
I don't think it's a good game. Like, it actually sounds like a kind of
sounds
board
terrible.
game Peter would.
Yeah.
The problem
It's
with
not,
it is...
it's not a game, it's a concept.
Yeah, it's just an idea. So the
It's a
problem with it
social
is
experiment.
I see where people come from with this, because when I've brought this up at my board games evening at work before, the first thing I do is explain some of the games. Goes, concepts like, it's this, and they go, that's
Can I say maybe the concept is really bad? It's a really bad
great.
concept for the game.
It's not. It's an interesting idea.
The
but
puns
it's
all
just, it's just not particularly engaging.
Yeah,
Like today
yeah.
at work, for example, I took Cooin, which we've talked about on the podcast before.
Or as Andy would call it, coop.
Coop.
Coop, my favourite game.
It is a great board game, and within minutes I'd explained the rules to everyone, and everyone was playing and having fun and lying to each other like the dirty bastards that they are.
Yeah.
Whereas with Concept, you put it down on the table in front of you, 1 million cubes fly everywhere, everybody looks at it and goes, what the fuck are you doing right now? And then goes home very unhappy.
Yeah.
It's just, even I agree that Concept is not
It's
a brilliant
like that
game.
one friend that you invited, but you didn't really expect to show up.
Yeah. When I first saw it, and played it the first time with my friends, I thought, that was a pretty neat game. And I kind of hyped it a bit. And then it was like, when you're all sat in a room and you're showing your friends those really funny YouTube videos.
Oh, they're hilarious.
You slowly start watching them, and then you're like, this is not funny, but they're finding it funny, right? They're finding it They're not. It's not good. So have I sold you concept,
No, it's
Tony?
shit.
Yeah,
Shit.
nice.
Have you seen how many awards it's run? The Goiden Ludo nominee, the Trick Track nominee.
No. Look how many nominees.
Well, it's the LYS Grand Public winner.
Did it win anything?
These are all French. It's probably a French
the
game.
Hararoku winner,
French
Toby.
people love this game.
Ah, shit charades, guys.
Shit
It's got
charades.
Shit charades.
It's got
big
a
in
complexity rating of 1 out of 5, so it's a
That's
pretty
'cause it's
simple
shit.
game.
Japan. Moving on.
Well,
Moving
I was
on.
also going to talk about mechs versus minions, because
Oh yeah, I forgot that. We
did talk about
tangerined
this.
onto this last time as well.
Well,
Because
Tangerine
Riot
back on.
Games actually made a board game about League of Legends. So that's quite
Orangutan.
interesting. So if you want to check that out. But the next topic we'll be talking about is Sony backpedaled on mod support and adds 4K support.
But not entirely.
No, I mean, we went through this like very quickly last
Yeah,
time.
because we didn't really care.
The thing is, none of us are console gamers.
None
right?
of us
But
play Bethesda
none of us
games
really
'cause
care.
they're
I
shit,
will,
you know.
I will again explain the limitations it is. So
Go, Tony.
So basically, Bethesda were talking to Sony. They decided to add it in some way. Unfortunately, all you can do is you can't add additional content. You can only change around what's there.
Yeah,
Which
so
means
this is different.
90% of the
specifically to
mods that
workshop.
have been made do not work on PS4. So very
Yeah.
sorry to everyone who wanted mods on PS4.
Yeah,
Sucks to
should have
be.
waited for the reviews.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
like, it's one of those things like, I feel bad for you, but I don't really care.
It's also one thing they added was the ability to play it in 4K now as well, I think.
Yeah, native. 4K.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's got
yeah.
native 4K. It's going to maybe introduce some interesting story elements, but again, those story elements
Is
can
it?
only potentially. Well, yeah, but I mean, you remember we talked about it on before when people were saying, "Oh, they've made their own story campaign."
Oh, you mean mods?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
But I think that
It's-
there's only so much you can tell
Skyrim
with no
is just the
additional
gift that
assets,
keeps on
right?
giving, dude.
Yeah.
I love Skyrim.
Yeah.
That's literally the news for that article.
I think I flamed Skyrim the last time we talked
Yeah,
about this.
Yellow of Whiterun end boss.
Yeah, the end boss, the Isle of Wight one.
Yeah.
For anyone that doesn't know, because Daniel didn't know this last
time.
week,
I still don't know it. It's
because
past.
the Jarl of Whiterun is like the first person you meet in Skyrim.
Yeah, the first,
and,
like, main
and I
person,
said that
yeah.
was the last boss. I killed a dragon, Tony, so
You
that's
did.
all I needed to do.
I shouted at
And
Dragon.
it was a shit game.
You then
Still
killed
is.
his-
Bethesda makes bad
Downloaded
games.
the Killable Children
I
mod,
think we're
killed
actually talking
Jarl
about
Balgruuf's
Bethesda.
son.
I think we're actually talking about Bethesda next week,
In
and
the
I think that the
future.
same sentiment will be, I don't really care about Bethesda. So,
Well, I think
digital
last,
hot-
I would say before we move on,
Okay.
last time I think we talked about you said Bethesda used to make okay games, now they just make really bad games.
well, they're like Valve.
No,
where-
they're not quite though.
No,
They've not
I-
quite mastered it. Like
No,
Valve,
Valve
have,
makes
which is an
money
excellent
now.
segue.
and Skyrim makes bad games and still gets money.
Yeah.
Speaking of Steam making money,
No,
Oh,
let's
I
talk about
jumped over
Digital
one.
Homicide shutting down.
oh for God's sake, ruined my segue. Segue denied.
Because this is a quick one. Digital Homicide, the great memers that they are, trying to sue 100 Steam users, have closed down. I'd like the
Rest in
title is
pepperoni.
Digital Homicide is committed digital suicide.
Fantastic article name.
Real shame. We really loved Digital Homicide.
was-
We were actually hoping they'd grow into a Peter Molyneux entity of their
Yeah.
own and
It's
just
the
go
meme,
full
the meme that kept giving.
memes. Yeah.
The meme engine has broken.
I wanted them to make, the follow up to the cube, the triangle, the
Yeah.
game.
The dodecahedron.
You played a game where it reviewed you poorly.
Review the reviewer.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, actually they've dropped their lawsuit on Jim now.
Yeah, these
so.
were people that were suing Jim Sterling, and they were actively trying to raise a suit against 100 people on Steam. And Valve basically,
They said
being
fuck off,
the
basically.
good people that they are, basically said, no.
Don't harass our
Yeah,
customers.
don't harass
We're
our
removing your
customers,
games from
especially
Steam.
when we're the ones hosting this and making money for you. They didn't listen, obviously, quick enough. So, bye, Digital
The
Homicide.
funniest thing is their response to this. There's a quote
it's
from them. They
great.
say, "We may have been painted in a negative customer light by gaming media. Truthfully, we've been fighting for lower prices and a more open market, which to me is the most important thing for consumers. Thank you, Digital Homicide, for
Thanks
your
for fighting
years
for
of
our
service.
rights. We weren't ready for you. We're sorry.
Ahead of your time. Ahead of your time.
You're ahead of your time, and maybe you'll Peter Molyneux us in the future.
I think you were right there before, Joe. They're ahead of our time.
Yeah. But well, segue on to Valve.
Meanwhile, Valve are still making money, but we can still do this segue. So Valve, who have shut down Digital Homicide in a weird way to stop them from losing money, are making money by selling sprays in CSGO. Segued.
Right, so they've actually taken the old concept from Counter-Strike Source,
which was completely free,
which was way better,
worked better, had more choice, allowed you to spray whatever you liked, could be animated, could be based on distance.
So they've made it into the weapon crate system where you can get a random spray from a crate you buy.
Yep.
It's
Overwatch
predetermined graffiti spray, they're calling it, and it only has 50 uses, which I think is ridiculous.
Yeah, I think the limited use thing is ridiculous, though.
It's a CD Overwatch model. Basically, Valve took a look at the fact that Overwatch were making crap tons of money, and they said, "Oh look, they're selling sprays. We should do that." And then they said, "Oh, hold on, we could sell sprays, or we could sell sprays over and over again by making it only 50 sprays."
Fantastic idea.
Yeah. And that man was then promptly, given a raise. Well, the man that said, "Why don't we just put the old ones in?" was thrown out of the board building window.
Yeah.
You must have seen those memes before.
Yeah.
Yeah, that poor guy.
But I think it's ridiculous because there was some really cool stuff on Counter-Strike Source where people were uploading their own images.
Even if it was mostly porn.
Yeah, but you said why can they make it like a workshop thing like they did with TF2 last time, didn't
they? Should have done.
Yeah. I agree.
They already have a workshop for the guns. So.
Yeah, so why can't you do the same?
I think in TF2 you can get sprays as well from the workshop now.
You can just upload your own sprays.
Yeah, I know, but I think that the idea is that it's in the workshop it's just an easy place to get them.
But if they wanted to actually,
what about FPS Banana, Daniel?
Is that still a thing?
Yeah,
did
FPS
it become
Banana is still a thing.
Or is it Game
of course
Banana? Because there was Game Banana and FPS Banana.
Well, I haven't said about the most broken thing about the spray yet, though. The fact that
it's Game Banana now.
Game Banana.
You can put it on a window and it's like a one-way see-through thing.
Yeah, so they're not only are they charging you money for these things, which are like limited uses, 50 by the way. I don't think we actually mentioned the number yet, but 50 uses of that spray, and then you've got to buy them again. They're broken in that they haven't put enough thought into it. If you spray it on a window, because that is a double-sided texture, but the spray itself is not, you can see through the texture one way, but not the other, which basically means you give players an competitive advantage.
CSGO's on the old Hammer map editor, which I've actually used a bit. And if anyone's used Hammer to build a map, it is quite a simple system where one side of the texture isn't, rendered on the other side on like a glass texture. It just sees it as one texture sort of thing. So I can see why the engine would see the spray on one side but not on the other.
But again, the sprays they already had in place in CSS and TF2 did not have that problem. Literally, they just handle it. If it was on glass, it would just mirror it on the opposite side.
Yeah. Valve fucking up again. What are you like?
It's a cash grab.
Well, I feel like CSGO is it's so popular at this point, people will just pay for it.
Yeah.
Or pay for it again after they've been banned.
Why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free?
That's true.
Anyway, speaking of Valve, more Valve news.
More Valve.
Valve Dev Talks was like a couple of weeks ago, but when it was supposed to be recorded, it was a couple of days ago. They have just announced that they are making a brand new Vive controller with full hand tracking on it. It looks really cool.
Is it full hand tracking? I think we talked.
I think
it's
open
crab
palm,
tracking.
closed palm.
It was crab tracking. That's right. You can actually say my hands are open, my hands are closed.
Because they're making new Vive Lighthouse improvements. There's a new Lighthouse been announced. They're also adding more controllers into the Steam API. They announced the PS4 controller with DualShock support, kind of similar to
DualShock support.
DualShock.
Yeah, I've got DualShock on right now.
Yeah, same.
Kind of similar to the way the Steam controller works, where you can button map a bunch of presets and upload them to the Game Hub, and that was quite cool.
Mm-hmm.
They also announced that Valve VR content was coming next year, so Half-Life 3 VR confirmed.
Yeah, confirmed.
They've also said that the Steam Link is going to be included in the new Samsung TV. I had this from Steam Spy, who was at the event, and he said Samsung came to Steam to ask them to put the Steam Link into the TV, which is pretty cool.
Is a sign of how Samsung, pretty smart people, Samsung are not a small
Well, they
tech...
make exploding phones.
They do, but they're not a small tech company, right?
It was a feature.
I mean, yeah.
No, I think they were exploding in the past.
I think they were exploding. I don't think they were stopped being sold completely by that point. They are now, or are
Well, they also
to
make VR, and they had to stop people using the VR with the Note 7 because it was exploding.
I didn't actually put two and two together last time, but
They
them
made the
putting
Gear
Steam,
VR.
them putting Steam is kind of a competitor in a way. Like, I mean, Steam itself it isn't, right?
But I think, if you say that, it's kind of like Facebook is a competitor.
Well,
Razer
they
is a
are.
competitor.
They are.
I don't
Razer's
think they
direct.
Well, the Steam wants it just like an open source thing, though, don't they? So
yeah, but to the VR specifically, not just like company to company.
yeah,
Razer make a headset that directly competes against the Vive.
yeah.
Facebook, who own Oculus, make.
I'm
the
sure
Oculus
Mark
Rift.
Zuckerberg's always throwing eggs at Gabe Newell's house.
This probably-
Halloween's
I
coming
imagine
soon,
that they
so-
literally live opposite each other
Yeah.
every morning. And Gabe Newell just stood there with his collection of many knives, like sharpening one, while Zuckerberg's just sort of, I don't know, probably crying or something.
I know Mark Zuckerberg
With comments.
covers up the webcam on his laptop with a piece of duct tape so people can't hack into it.
What?
Which is quite like harrowing if you've seen the new season of Black Mirror, because there's some quite interesting stuff on there. But that's in the future.
It's not out yet,
That's
Joe.
in the future.
Stop giving away spoilers from the future.
Yeah, but they also, the biggest thing with the new hand tracking controllers, the new Vive lighthouses, they also announced a wireless version of the Vive headset, which is really cool because if you've played on the Vive, which we have, wires are really annoying.
Yeah, super annoying.
The most annoying thing is that I love room scale VR. My favourite VR experience had to be Budget Cuts, which I'm still waiting for the release because that was fantastic. Really hard first person stealth game. I was jumping up and down the room. Peter edit. And we haven't mentioned that yet, but we
haven't.
said last
last week,
Daniel was
amazingly, I
sick.
had a hilariously bad cold. And so I was coughing all over the place, and the idea was that Tony was going to edit a picture of Peter Molyneux's face on every time I coughed.
And instead,
Now-
40 minutes
now-
in, finally we've got one.
Well, the cough went away, but today I'm getting another cold. Amazing, like what, 2, maybe
My
3
window's
weeks
open.
later. No, it's been happening at work as well. It's like, I just go to that one. Here's another one
Well,
because you
welcome
weren't
to
ill
autumn,
enough.
everybody. Where it's
Anyway,
in summer,
I
you're
think
ready.
Yeah.
A wireless Vive is really cool because of the possibility for room scale. And Oculus is making a room scale one as well with their little hand controllers.
Yeah, well, I mean, their hand controllers are cool, and they basically had a bunch of stuff at Oculus Connect recently where they openly discussed all the stuff that they're doing. They showed off their Oculus avatars, which basically, like, you make little Miis, basically, to map what you look like in a 3D space, and the camera can watch you when you're talking and hear you, so that it will map the mouth movements as well.
Yeah.
And they basically asked the question, just kept around and said, we've had this question the most over the past series of months, and that is, will Oculus support room scale? And they said, we can now announce that Oculus will support room scale.
Which is kind of cool.
And you can buy 2 new cameras for it as well, well, they're the same camera, but you can buy more of them in order to enable that. And they showed the Oculus Touch controls, which was one of the big differences between me going with the Vive compared to the Rift, because the Vive came with the controllers to start with. These new controllers that Valve are making look pretty cool because it's really immersive to be able to actually reach down and grab something.
I think last time I complained like how
You did.
like how they looked and like how like unfunctional they looked. But you said like the old, I guess Vive controllers looked weird
they
before,
were
and they made them
really
a lot better.
unwieldy.
Yeah, I think the hand controllers are going to be used a lot for like experiences where you're going to be grabbing things.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I still think the old Vive controllers are definitely going to be used. I think they'd be
I
really
think so.
cool for
I
like
really
tilt
like them,
brush.
actually.
I think tilt brush is one of the most surprisingly fun experiences in VR because
That was so
you
good.
think about it and you just go like it's hard to explain to people who've never experienced
It's
it.
like 3D paint.
It's like paint, and you just go, oh yeah, it's like paint. It's like imagine making 3D objects in 3D.
Peter, voice, please.
Oh, sorry. Imagine making a 3D object in the third dimension.
Imagine
Wow.
making a box, a cube, if you will, that you can go inside.
There was a video in the future on Linus Tech Tips where Luke was showing some people the Gear VR, I think, and he was showing them the Vive, and he basically was like, these were like layman people, and people said like they'd just rather have the Gear because of the because the huge difference in price, because people already own the phones, so they don't have to pony the money out for, you know, these
massive PC basically.
Yeah, and the headset itself, and they're basically saying they couldn't really tell that much difference between the two. And one of the persons said he'd rather have the Gear VR, but he was like still having like dreams about Tilt Brush. He wanted to play that.
Yeah,
dreams.
Despite that, he wouldn't choose the Vive over the Gear VR. I think
the Tilt Brush, the easiest way to explain it is, imagine the first time anyone actually opened Paint on like Microsoft Windows when it didn't exist beforehand, and they were just like suddenly dragging their mouse across the screen, and they were like, oh, colours, and I can make a picture, and
it's
there's
more
not
than
real
that.
ink.
It's way more like you can walk around your creation and like you're there.
Imagine a world where you can create it in 3 dimensions,
and then have a conversation.
I think I would love it if Peter Molyneux made a VR game. That'd be fantastic.
That's what I want.
Peter Molyneux, make a VR game, please.
What do you think it would be though? Like,
imagine
a
world where
massive cube.
You don't play the car wash, you play the car. It's just like, what?
I just imagine
that sounds like a shower simulator.
Yeah,
maybe.
And that would be in the 4th dimension time.
Yes. Imagine a game where you play as time.
VR has 3D tracking, but I'm going to track the 4th dimension time.
It's the kind of thing Peter would claim to do.
You have to build a clock. It's a puzzle game.
So what I was tangerine with that is that I think I love room scale VR, but I think people will rather have the mobile, you know, the Gear VR experiences. I think developers and people are moving more towards like a wireless mobile kind of VR, and I think if people could actually get to play room scale with the Vive, or even the PSVR that actually came out, that's quite cool.
One of my colleagues at work's just got one of those.
Yeah, it's actually quite cool. I think the PSVR has a lot of potential, and it's quite convenient. So there's that. I mean,
speaking about Valve, still, J.J. Abrams in an interview.
Why are you skipping? Oh.
I'm not skipping nothing.
We haven't even talked about Steam 360 video, 8K to 10K resolutions with only 1080p bandwidth on native Steam video.
Good job, we just covered that. Speaking of Valve,
nobody cares, apparently.
Go on then, talk about J.J. Abrams.
So J.J. Abrams was doing an interview on the red carpet for his new Netflix series. Is it Netflix? I think it's Netflix.
No, it's not.
Is it not? Is it like HBO or something?
What the fuck are you on?
Westworld.
That's on.
That's the red carpet event that he was doing.
Was it?
Well, yeah, that was when he gave the quote. So basically, anyway, he was
on Sky.
Oh, okay. So he was on the red carpet for Westworld, which he's had some involvement in. And there's a cat, and it has entered. Hello. And they basically started asking him about Portal because they were interested in it. Jesus, take the wheel.
Yeah, basically he said on the red carpet there'll be an announcement soon, but even in the weeks gone since we fucked up the podcast recording, there's been no announcement. Yeah. So I'm going to assume it's on Valve time, the announcement.
They basically said to him, we are very excited and looking forward to what work that you've been doing with the guys over at Valve, and he just basically wasn't ready for the question, but he said, yeah, it's really good to work with Valve.
Expect a Portal film announcement soon.
Yeah, he said expect a Portal film announcement soon. I think we're very close to being able to talk about something. The guys at Valve are really good because, for those of you who don't know, J.J. Abrams, director of the latest Star Wars and Star Trek films, picked he picked up some, not the rights, so to speak, but he picked up the chance to work with Valve in order to turn those into films. Now, to be clear, that nothing basically outside of J.J. Abrams' head is known right now about that, whether it will be actually a direct retelling of the stories from the point of view of Chell and Gordon, or whether it will be another complete side story, or maybe the events leading up to it.
Man.
All I know is that I am excited for it because I think
Toby doesn't like J.J. Abrams.
I believe in J.J.
No, I don't like the Star
He doesn't like
ones.
He doesn't like the Star Trek films because they have too much action and they're not about politics.
I will say this though, he did a fantastic job of like separating it from like its own like little universe and dimension, like compared to like the main like Next Generation series.
Yeah,
he did a good job of like clarifying that and making people not mad. But no, I don't like those
imagine
ones.
if he imagine if he did like a Next Generation one.
Well, as long as he kept what made the Next Generation, that'd be fine. But
yeah, he was an executive producer on Westworld, so that's very vague as to what he did on it, because an executive producer basically means they're financially invested in the show. So anyone can basically be an executive producer.
Well, you have to have money.
Yeah.
I don't have that. You'll have to call again. Hey, I know what we talked about last time.
What?
We talked about this.
Your iPhone 7.
Really shortly. We were like,
why you got the iPhone 7?
I slated it recently and then I immediately bought one.
Why?
So, yeah. It's good.
No.
It is
good.
It's good.
I talked about
really simple.
tech that the PlayStation VR uses.
Oh yeah, there was like the 120 hertz refresh rate.
What was it called?
It is just PSVR.
No, what was the tech called that they used?
Oh, it was
to render a
reprojection.
Reprojection.
Yeah.
Because that was quite interesting, actually.
Basically, they already use this technology in order to try and get 120 frames per second in. No, they don't already use it. They're using it in their headset, but they do already use it.
Well, they want to get 90 frames.
Yeah, but they think they can. Well, no. Oculus and Valve think that 90 is enough, whereas PSVR are pushing
they think
for
120 is the bare minimum.
Yeah, so
they think 90 isn't enough.
They're not. What?
120 is the bare minimum because that's 60 FPS per eye.
Who is saying that? Because
Oculus and Valve don't think that 90 frames is enough.
No. Oculus and Valve think that 90 frames per second is enough to alleviate any sense of motion sickness. I'm reading that as a direct quote from PS4Daily.com.
Well, I think 120 should be the baseline.
Well, so the Vive, for example, is capped at 90, and that I don't really notice at all.
Because that's
120 is
FPS per
eye. 120 is only seemed to be possible in the PSVR based on the fact that they're doing this reprojection stuff, which they've taken the technology from Sony Pictures, which obviously they're quite good at.
They've done that in films.
Yeah, CGI stuff.
Basically, what it does is it takes an image of the first frame and the second frame and kind of guesses
averages
what's in the middle.
Yeah,
to add more frames, basically.
Yeah,
it's clever.
It can be a bit messy if you're like looking for a lot of detail. Sort of thing.
Yeah.
But that was just a quite interesting point. I was quite interested in how reprojection works and how it could actually give you more frames in a less technical system. But we will talk about the final topic, which is the NES Classic Edition. That is
I slated this last week, and the reason
it's pretty cool.
It's cool. It looks neat. You were interested in the controller, and then we decided the controller actually probably wasn't just USB. The point I made last week, and I will make again, is that for $60. You get the little controller, which is pretty neat. It's a nice little bit of memorabilia.
Yeah,
and you
I just want the controller.
How many games do you get? 30, right? If you actually look at the cost from the marketplace where you can download all these classic games to play on your DS and add them all together, it does not come up to the cost of that combined.
But yeah,
so
hardware,
you may as well. If you've already if you've already got a DS, you're not gaining anything from this.
Yeah.
But if you don't have one, and actually, if you've maybe owned a NES in the past, I get the point of it, right? And the controller itself, I think you can buy separately, but it doesn't look like it's actually.
You can buy it
USB.
separately for $10.
Yeah,
which is quite cool because I just want to buy one and plug it in my computer, but
we're not sure that's possible.
Yeah, I'm not sure I could actually do that because I think you could just get the same experience with a Raspberry Pi and an emulator on it. And then you could put like 300 emulated NES.
Did I tell you about Ash's machine he made?
No.
When I was at university, Ash had a project where, this is my roommate, he basically took a really old laptop, he gutted it, and then built from scratch out of wood an arcade cabinet. put the laptop in there, gave it a fight stick and a bunch of controls, and the front bit where you put the coins in, like the coin looked like it was in, but when you pressed it, the front bit would come down, and you could pull out all sorts of controllers for a NES, for an N64, for a PS2, and it had all the emulators already installed on the laptop. It's pretty neat.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Did it run okay?
Yeah, it was an oldish laptop because students not made of money, but for all the old NES games and that, it was fine, and because. At the time we were doing programming, and Ash was vastly better at it than I was, he used XNA, which is the Xbox-like programming language in C#, to build his own custom user interface. So he basically starts it up, it immediately boots into that, and then he just picks what games he wants to play from his own UI, and then that starts up.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I think, mums around Christmas are not going to be able to do that, so... I'd be pretty happy.
No.
Yeah, mums just don't have the times these days.
Yeah, to program their own arcade characters, lazy bitches. Yeah. But I think you know all that.
My colleague at work, Christian, would really love this. He played a lot of these games. He doesn't know a lot about how to do this stuff himself, so he would really appreciate this rather than having to learn how to emulate something, which again is dubious legally anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
could just buy a DS though.
You know all those old vaporware systems that you used to get as kids. Those little fake game sort of things from
Yeah, that's not vaporware, but carry on.
Is it not?
No, but vaporware is when I say I'm going to build an Oculus Rift that's completely wireless and has 4K in either eye and runs at 90 frames per second, and then it never works. It's never even developed. That's vaporware.
Okay, I think it's just game systems that are it's the new Tekken, and it's just like a stick man jumping up and down.
It's like a bootleg.
Yeah, that's a better
bootleg.
Term. Yeah,
okay. Let's say bootleg.
It's what John does all the time. Bootlegs of everything.
Yeah, but I feel like most of the bootleg games are shit. But if I got this, I'd be pretty happy. That'd be pretty cool to get as Christmas.
Are you trying to drop a subtle hint?
No, I don't personally.
It's a great gift.
I'm just saying I wouldn't mind getting it. I think it's pretty cool. I'd be more interested in the controller, so I could just play like Mario on my computer.
I'm going to try something on this website.
You're not on the website. But I haven't clicked on the website because one of the great features of Windows 10. Are you trying to type in the Konami code as well?
I was hoping Nintendo would put some kind of.
One of the great features of Windows 10 is you can scroll up and down in a window.
It is good, but at the same time, I've got no idea what I just did to the podcast.
What did you do?
Well, I pressed up, down, left, right.
Yeah, it's broken now again.
We're probably going to have to record the whole thing again.
But yeah, the size of the game is probably like a kilobyte, so I don't see why they couldn't just put 300 games on this. But...
Were there 300 NES games? I'm assuming there were. I reckon it probably comes down to, were there 300 NES games that Nintendo made?
Or that were good and they still have the rights for?
Titanic.
What?
Never mind.
Reference lost.
Moving on, Tony picked a Danny Dyer tweet.
You've skipped over the most important part.
Oh shit, we missed Toby's wish list.
You have.
I don't remember.
We did Toby, did you... bullshit when we had two actually good ones. We were amazed by the art style of one of them.
Oh yeah. Toby, you wrote those down. You just send me the games we're going to look at.
That we've definitely not seen before and have no preconceptions about.
The first game we're looking at is called Don Don Patchy.
Shh, Toby, no. We're picking it from your wish list. You're not picking it.
These are random games.
Yeah, I've just randomly picked them. Don Don Patchy Resurrection.
I think I'll pick that one. Don Don Patchy Resurrection. Let's look at that one.
I can't spell that, Toby.
Do Don, basically. D-O, Don.
No, you're going to have to send it to me. I can't spell that.
Oh, this is going well. Oh my god. So many of your games need updates.
Don Don. Oh, I would not have spelled it that way.
Okay. Kenpachi Rama-sama.
Resurrection version 1.5. Yeah. Oh yes, basically anime bullshit version 1.5. It looks like Gallagher.
Not only that, right? But it was really risque. It was just a Gallagher clone.
Risque.
That had
pictures.
Anime girls next to it.
Yeah.
It's anime bullshit, Tony. I'm sorry, I've told you this once before, Tony, but it's not going on my wish list. What's next?
Do you not want to read the description?
No, they don't need to know. It's anime bullshit. They're not
Allegedly
buying it. If you want to check out Don Don Patchy Resurrection, don't.
All right.
Yeah. Next.
The next one I'm sure you want to search.
Oh yeah, no, that was good. This was the good one.
Yeah. We don't want the soundtrack.
Can come with the soundtrack,
right?
But the first thing that it tells you to do is
you have to read out the description for people listening to it.
I shall read this one.
Okay.
Gonner is a tough as hell procedurally generated 2D platformer with roguelike elements, following the largely misunderstood and altruistic Ick on a journey to cheer up his only friend in the world, a giant layer-bound whale named Sally, by searching for just the right trinket in the deep and dark places nearby.
So this is like an indie shooter platformer that has a really interesting art style.
The aesthetic is really cool.
If you're Tony, put some pictures up. I'd highly recommend watching the trailer because this thing is
headphones.
A beauty to watch.
Because the sound is amazing as well.
It's just amazing all the way around. You should check this out on Steam. I mean,
basically,
Christmas.
It's already on your wish list, Joe, because last time you added to your wish list.
But future, the past.
Yeah, Joe, you added to your wish list, right?
The short story is we really liked this.
I clicked and I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
We came into this ready to hate it, and then immediately we were like, "Actually, no, this looks cool."
I really want to play this.
They have like an art style, like colors, like it's like a dark screen, and the colors like light up the way in a way, doesn't it?
Like
it's
and
powdery.
For every 50 anime BS, there is one good game on Toby's wish list.
Is that the Toby wish list lore?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
We liked it still.
It's still good.
Right. I definitely recommend checking out Ghana if you were interested in interesting puzzle. I don't think it's but it was a platformer shooter.
It's a platformer roguelike with roguelike elements.
Manual Samuel is the next game. Oh yeah, we decided that it was like Octodad.
But shit.
Well,
it's not
I can't find it on Steam, Toby.
Because it should be that.
You spell it wrong.
Yeah, I typed it.
okay. Toby's typing us. It's still on Steam, guys. You can still get Manual Samuel.
I've seen YouTubers do Let's Plays of this immediately, and it's not the good YouTubers, which usually indicates to me it's rubbish.
It says, meet Samuel. He's handsome, wealthy, and most importantly, dead. A deal with death gives Samuel one last chance to live again. If he can survive a whole day with doing everything manually. We looked at it and it looked kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like a 2D Octodad, like story driven, and it probably isn't. I mean, I'm happy with this on my wish list, but I can understand like it looks like an okay game at best.
Whilst watching the trailer, in the very first kind of second, I was interested in the art style, and then I watched the gameplay and I was like, no, I'm no longer am. So the very first bit shows you almost 3D, and then the game actually starts and it's clickbait, a lot of it, right? It's like, oh, look how interesting this is. Oh, there's funny death happening and this guy's getting hurt. And it's funny because he's peeing all over the floor and you're just like...
Oh, he's falling down the stairs in a cartwheel.
Can't get up.
Oh, and there's death with a hat.
I think... Yeah, I'm going to give this a PewDiePie bait out of 10.
Yeah, it's not... It doesn't sound like it's interesting. It looks unoriginal. I've definitely seen all
of the Manual Samuel clones in the past.
You still want this game after I slated it last week, Tim.
Yeah,
well done for your result.
Like I said, I think it's an okay game. I'm happy to still have it on my wish list. I understand the problems you have. I think they're completely legit, but it's still something that I would still want to play.
Yeah, Toby has this thing where he wants to play bad games.
In this case, though, it's not even that. Though. I don't even think it's like a bad game. I think it's just going to be okay at best. But I think it's a good enough thing that
he has like an MMO on his wish list that's free to play. And apparently, it's meant to be really bad.
Yes.
And I asked him, "Why do you have this on your wish list? It's free to play. You could just play it." And he's like, "It's not the time.
It's not the time.
It's not the time.
It's not the time.
I will play this awful Korean MMO on my wish list at some point that's free to play."
Isn't that?
So that was Toby's wish list. It's pretty shit.
Isn't that the one with like the salty like community?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a feature.
So Danny Dyer this week, he's put out another tweet. Read this part first.
So this week for Danny Dyer.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong, a struggle, but I opened 2 gifts this morning. They were my eyes.
I think we can all have a Butte Sunday to that, because we're definitely recording this on Sunday like usual.
It's a Sunday. It's the 10th of October, or a date we picked out of the air because we can't remember.
I don't think I even need to do the ending of the show and the plugs because
I can't remember what we even plugged last time.
What did I play? Peter Molyneux.
Yeah, Peter Molyneux.
That car game, was it?
Yeah.
It was, Can't Drive This.
I think I actually
Can't
plugged something
drive
else.
this.
I told you I was watching some like esports Overwatch shit that was going on as well, which is obviously really far in the
BlizzCon's
past by
coming
now.
up now.
No, it's the past.
It's the...
BlizzCon is still coming in the past.
It's ages away though.
Okay. As usual, you can follow me on Twitter at Scorn2000. I tried to get the handle at Scorn, but then I realised I owned it and I'd forgotten the password to that account. So
You locked yourself out.
that bastard, I can't get the handle at Scorn. So I'm at Scorn2000. Cool kids. Only 2,000 kids.
Yeah, you're like a
me.
robot, like a new,
even though I'm not a 2,000 kid. So
I'm Dan Brace. You can find me at McBrace on Twitter and Instagram.
Not
I post
not Dan Brace
all the time. Not Dan Braceman. No.
you can find
alter ego.
Toby's face hidden somewhere on one of the pictures on the Inbetween
I forgot
podcast.
about that.
I did leak that last time. I think I will mention
you've
it.
linked it
Anyone
again.
who stayed to the end, because there are surprises with that throughout.
Yeah.
And Andy,
So yeah,
unmute the fucking podcast.
as usual, you are watching. As usual, you're watching us on YouTube or you're watching us on VidMe.
Yeah, we talked about that last time because we got.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
was gonna
we're
say
on VidMe
thumbnails on VidMe are
verified as
bigger.
well.
Look for the hidden stuff there. There you go.
Yeah, there is surprises throughout the VidMe page. So yeah,
We're also verified on VidMe because the developers.
hopefully
are really
this doesn't
cool.
crash. Wish us luck, guys. Goodbye.
Bye.